This is the Resistance.
What's up, everyone? This is the TinMan with the Worldwide Resistance Network. If you are watching this, you are the Resistance. And welcome to TinMan TV. Yes, everyone, this is TinMan TV. Merry fucking Christmas to you! And what a year it's been. I can't believe the year is almost over. And what year it's been. Wow. Got me out of retirement, that's for damn sure. And now everything is brought to you by the Monster Blue, the fictitious product that doesn't actually exist because we are not sponsored by any corporate entities. We are funded and carried by you, the people. So if you like this broadcast, by all means, share the live feed, hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube, hit that notification bell on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on all our social media outlets, Rumble, X, YouTube, all at Real TWWRN. And also, be sure to check out our online store. A lot of great goodies there. And as always, feel free to engage in the conversation. Comments are now enabled. This show is not just about me, not just about our host, but it's about you. And that is one of the big defining factors of these broadcasts, and what really sets us apart from everybody else out there in terms of political broadcasting. Because not only do we try to focus on the stories that generally don't get a lot of attention, or try to cover the things that may have slipped through the cracks, but we, like a lot of other broadcasters out there, not so much in political broadcasting, but in other areas, try to include you in the conversation. And my camera is way too high. I need to adjust this. There we go. That is much better. But yes, we try to include you and everyone in the conversation. And I expect that most everybody's doing their Christmas thing. That's why we do these broadcasts at 11 a.m. Give everybody time to wake up, get their bearings, take their morning shit, and then once all that's done out of the way, then they can take on the world. So, yeah. Take your morning shits and come join the party. But just FYI, this is the first broadcast in our new time slot. Again, Thursdays at 11 a.m., TinMan TV, with your host, the one and only TinMan, me, myself, and I. And starting tomorrow, Friday at 11 a.m., kicking it off for Kwanzaa, is going to be the debut of our newest show, kind of a comedic political satire show that we're doing with my buddy Aaron, who you've seen in the comments section. That will be, what the hell did we call that show? Your Friday Dessert, starring myself, the TinMan, and my buddy Aaron. Again, that's political comedic satire at 11 a.m. And that will be your weekly Friday slot. And then Saturdays at 11 a.m. Central Time. Again, all these are Central Time. You will have, of course, the staple of these broadcasts, the Roundtable, with myself, Revan, Connor, and now the returning Conspiracy Anon. And maybe even a few other people might join us, like Tommy Bird. He'll be popping in every now and again. Um, he's a very busy guy. It's very difficult to get on the show. But he said he wants to do the roundtables. He wants to be a regular. So that's one of the reasons why we positioned everything the way we did, because most everybody's free on the weekends, naturally. So, and that is now your pre-weekend lineup. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 11 a.m. TinMan TV, your Friday morning dessert, and the roundtable on Saturday. And I see we already got 2 viewers. Wow. Welcome, everybody. Again, I am your host, the TinMan. I do not know who is tuning in, but Merry Christmas to you. And feel free to join in on the comments. And today's topic is exploring liberalism. Again, another thing that really sets us apart from the rest of the political podcasters out there and the political activist groups out there is we engage with the audience, not just here on the shows, but on social media as well. If somebody comments, we'll reply. And I even take it a step beyond that. I engage with people on X. I debate people. I talk to people. I make points, because the idea is to get information out there. There's a lot of disinformation out there coming from both sides. Let's not mince words. It comes from both sides. So, and I try to just call balls and strikes. I try to be unbiased. But when I see something that I don't like and I know is bullshit, I'll call it out. And I get really heavy into that. And so today, what we are going to do is we are going to just take a walk through X and just have a look at some of the off the wall comments that are coming from users on X, predominantly people from the left. Now, I'm not trying to target the left, but for some stupid reason, despite the fact that I mostly follow conservative people, X's algorithm went completely apeshit ass backwards, and I got a bunch of leftist, I would dare say, propaganda pages, mostly bots. I'm pretty sure that most of these people are bots. Most of these accounts, I should say, are bots. And you'll see why in a moment, because it is just completely fucking Looney Tune with a lot of these people. And pardon me, I like to remain hydrated. Sue me. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it and just we're just going to have some fun and just so we're going to show the entire screen. And remember this second. So bear with me. The site we use has made a lot of updates, so makes things a little more difficult. Now everybody should be seeing that. Okay, I don't know if anything is actually showing right now. This is weird. Share, yes, share. Okay, there we go. Yay, I did it. Okay. So I believe now you guys can see this. In fact, I'm going to double check that real quick just to make sure everything is working properly. Let me just make sure that the system isn't broken. That I didn't break the matrix. Yep. Everything is working properly. Yep, we're working. All right, so going down the list, starting off with this weird one. Of course, Gavin Newsom's press office. He is obsessed with Trump. You know, forget about running California and doing your job. You know, the focus has got to be on the orange man. We have to focus on the orange man. You know, again, that's my biggest grievance with these political parties. They focus more on their political opposition than actually doing their fucking job, than actually running their district or running the country or whatever. Okay, and this particular meme. How the Grinch stole your health care. Okay, let's investigate that. You want to, presumably this is focusing on the whole government shutdown over Obamacare and how Obamacare got the axe. Let's investigate that. Obamacare was a complete fucking dud. Okay, Obama said you have to pass this legislation before you're permitted to read it. And so politicians did what politicians do, act like complete fucking idiots, and they passed something that they had never even read, which could have been a royal dick in their ass. And in many ways, it was a dick in the ass. Okay, this bill was full of holes, and it required subsidiaries to keep it afloat, to keep insurance costs down, so that Americans wouldn't get railroaded by it and say, hey, this was a bad idea. What the hell were you thinking? Basically, all those subsidiaries was an attempt at damage control to cover up how badly the Democratic Party botched on this healthcare reform. And since the subsidiaries dried up and the Congress and the Senate majorities did not want to add more subsidiaries to keep this sinking ship afloat, they said the hell with it. And now they're in the administration and Congress and whatnot are all in the process of bringing forth new immigration reform. So again, this is just a prime example of misinformation. Nobody stole your fucking healthcare. The healthcare you had was completely fucking botched and was a sinking ship held up by subsidiaries to mask how big of a fuck up this was. And the government said, you know what? We're just not going to do this anymore. We need something better. And that's what resulted in the government shutdown. And now the essential death of Obamacare. Because we're like, clearly this is a sinking ship. We can't keep just pouring money into this thing just to keep it going. We need something better. And the Democrats are like, no, we need our Obamacare. We need Obamacare. We need Obamacare. And the majority said, nope, we need something better. We need something that's not going to be just throwing money into the fire. So, yeah. Gavin Newsom, get your facts straight, buddy. Next. Woo-hoo! This is the Trump photo that was accidentally included in the Epstein files release. Once they noted the mistake, it was quickly removed. I happened to grab the screenshot before it was taken down. Let's scroll down. Reader added context. The image featured in the post was AI generated. The reference to a removed photo of Trump pertains to a different item, a printed photograph of him inside a drawer. Reference CBC News, BoomLive.in. Reader added context. This is an AI generated fake and was not released in any Epstein files. Verified on Snopes and newscheck.in. Okay. Again, propping up bullshit as complete fact. Now, if Trump is in the Epstein files for legitimate reasons, again, let it come out and stop. And whether he's in the files or he's not, stop clinging to bullshit. Stop propagating bullshit as if it's fact. You're just damaging the Democratic Party's credibility. And as a former Democrat, I have to sit there and go, look, there's a certain amount of loyalty I have for you, but damn it, if you're not damaging your credibility by propagating bullshit. Okay, you have people who can just sit here and go and cross-reference something or run it through an AI verifier or what have you and find out whether or not something that is said on the internet is true or fake or even AI generated. It's like, come on, guys. And then when it's found out to be a fake, you look like an ass because you're propagating this. Even if you just reposted it, that damages your credibility. Okay? Because you don't bother to do any homework and research anything. It's like, oh, this is negative against Trump. This says something bad about Trump, even if it's not true and it's going to make me look bad. I'm going to propagate it because I want to try to make Trump look bad. You're only making yourself look bad. Okay? If Trump is a rapist or he's a fucking pedophile or whatnot, may the heavens fall. Okay? But let's stick to the facts, guys. Let's not propagate bullshit because you're just damaging your credibility. Fuck. Okay? Here's a good one. All these people claim to be pro-America now and are defending the Constitution and defending democracy, which I'll get to that one in a minute. But wasn't it just a few years ago that this image was the adequate representation of the far left? Granted, that does not represent the majority of Democrats, mainly just the overly loud far left, far left, and a land far away to the left. Was this not the propagated media spin of the Democratic Party for several years? Not my flag, not my anthem, not my president. You had all these sports athletes taking a knee and all this seemingly anti-American sentiment. I mean, talk about fucking pancakes, man. Fucking flip-flopping. Okay, this isn't the Waffle House, guys. Okay, this isn't IHOP or Denny's. Quit the flip-flopping. Quit being pancakes, man. Figure out what you want to be and then fucking just be. But again, this hurts your credibility because on one hand, you were saying you're patriotic and fighting for America, when a few years ago you were more or less anti-America. At least that's what was being propagated. I mean, for Christ's sakes, shoot or get off the pot, really. Okay, here's a fun one. Human rights, civil rights violation of constitutional law, violation of international maritime law, ethical profiling, abuse of power, derelict of duty. They will be held accountable. This was my response. You forgot Bill Gates, Fauci, the Clintons, the Bushes, Obama, Zelensky, BB shit and Yoo-hoo, the Soros group, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and virtually everyone at BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. I mean, come on. Hey, where is the bitching? You want to point the finger at all these guys. Now, Stan Bundy, that bitch needs to be fired. ICE agents, okay. ICE has been in existence since 2002. You act like it's some new tyrannical thing. Okay, you want to maybe talk about what's going on in Venezuela? Read your history. Seriously. Democrats are big on, Republicans are so uneducated. They're so stupid, blah, blah, blah. And I'll get into that more. But if you really were educated, why is it that the people, when they get informed and they get educated on the left, the vast majority of them leave the party or become disillusioned with the far left narrative and just become moderate conservatives or even just moderate liberals? Why is it every time somebody gets informed, it gets educated, and you're all about education, why is it every time somebody on your side gets educated, they leave your side? Please explain that to me. And, explain these violations that you are citing. Do explain this. Because, again, you want to talk about maybe Venezuela? Look at your history. Look at the Barbary Wars and what happened there. Okay? Seriously. Do your research on it. Go look it up. There's a whole big can of worms there. Okay, as far as what ICE is doing, okay, you want to say constitutional violations. What constitutional violations? You have people attacking ICE agents who are trying to arrest migrants so that they can be lawfully deported. And at which point they get arrested, and then you hold up edited footage on the news and say, ICE agents are attacking American citizens. But you don't show the footage where said American citizen attacked these people. In many cases, we even had one instance, and there were probably a lot more, but one that I know of in particular, where a woman plowed into an ICE vehicle with her car, and that's where she was arrested. And they held it up on the news saying, why are you arresting me? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm an American citizen. After she just rammed their vehicle with her own. It's like, what? It's like, you just rammed me with your car, and you're trying to say you did nothing wrong when you're being arrested. Like, what the fuck? And this type of stuff happens all the time. If you want to talk about rights for migrants, okay, what rights are being processed? Speeding up the process of deportation. Okay, a hearing generally takes 7 years. Do you really have 7 years to dump your taxpayer money into holding these people? And at which point, if you have to release them, then they go back into the general populace, and ICE has to hunt them down and arrest them all over again when it's time for their hearing, when they don't show up. And then you have to go through the process of a hearing all over again? Like, what the hell? It's circumventing the system. Okay, you're not a citizen. You go home now. Okay, it's pure and simple. It's like if a minor is out past after dark and they're fucking around. It's like, okay, cop stops them, picks them up, takes them home. Is that a violation of civil rights? Like, come on. Explain yourselves. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but it really feels like they are trying to destroy our country from within. Healthcare, public schools, universities, research, law firms, federal workers, the environment are all getting the axe. They're systematically destroying everything that has made America great. What? How did any of these things make America great? Okay, one, your healthcare, Obamacare was complete shit. We've already covered that. Your educational system or indoctrinational system is complete fucking crap. Okay? Most of your college, you want to talk about universities, most of your college degrees won't get you a fucking job nowadays. How many people with college degrees are working at fucking McDonald's right now? Like, come the fuck on. Get off your fucking high horse. Research, where is research taking a hit? Law firms, are you talking about the Soros-run DAs and judges that are letting criminals loose based on their ethnicity and not trying these people? Some of these people have multiple felony arrests. Federal workers, what do you mean? The ones that aren't coming into work and said, okay, if you're not coming into work, you're fired? Okay. What federal workers are you talking about? Are you talking about maybe the federal agencies that you're now bitching about, like at the FBI, DOJ, that aren't doing their job and drug their feet on releasing the Epstein files? Yeah, those people should probably be fired, right? Isn't that what you're bitching about? That the Epstein files should have been released last Friday? Yeah. I think we're kind of on the same page with that, Spam Bundy and those under her who were dragging their feet and didn't release things on time in its entirety and just all that bullshit of the DOJ and the FBI and CIA people not doing their job or engaging in government corruption, as you cited in the previous post mentioned. You now have a problem with these people getting the axe? Seems like you just want something to bitch about. And the environment? Oh, please. Are you fucking serious? Again, with the environment? We've been dealing with this shit since the 60s. 1960s. Oh, oil supplies are going to run out in 10 years, so we need to raise taxes. The 70s. Oh, what was it in the 70s? What was the issue in the 70s? I forget what the issue. Oh, another ice age in 10 years was the one in the 70s. Oh, because of environmental issues, we're going to have another ice age in 10 years. The 80s. Acid rain is going to destroy all the crops in 10 years. The 90s. The ozone layer's thinning and it's going to collapse in 10 years. Early 2000s. The polar ice caps are melting. 2010. Sea levels are going to rise and all the coastal areas are going to be gone. And then you have all the Democrats buying up beachfront property, like Obama bought up, like what was it, 3 properties? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know he bought up at least one, but I'm thinking it was 3. He bought up beachfront property during this whole, sea levels are going to rise. Why the hell is he then buying up properties? And now it's, the polar bears are going to drown. The polar bears are going to drown. What? Wow. And none of these things happen. And the only thing that did happen was you got higher taxes. Yeah. So how did any of this make America great? Wow. Da, 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 da. Okay. This is today's Conservative Party. Sorry, but the rebel flag, that was your guys' thing. The Nazis, again, you're just trying to label people as Nazis so that you don't feel bad about attacking them. Okay, you gotta have a provocation. If you kill somebody because you believe they're a Nazi, well, then you're absolved of any guilt then, huh? The party of hate, sedition, and insurrection. And traitors. Okay, so yeah, the party of hate, but yet you're propagating these narratives. Again, especially the conservative Confederate flag. Or no, I can't even say it's the conservative Confederate flag. That's wrong, because the Confederate flag was not instituted by the Conservative Party. It was instituted by the Democratic Party in opposition to Lincoln, who was referred to as the Radical Republicans. Okay, so this is the Democratic Party's flag right here. Okay, don't put that back on us. Don't put that back on conservatives, guys. Stand back, stand by. Oath keepers. Okay, what have the Oath keepers done? Okay, you want to sit there and say that they were part of the insurrection? Okay, what about the 200 plus FBI agents who were sent out by Nancy Pelosi? This was Pelosi's insurrection, not Trump's insurrection. And this person, Thursday, they're big on this. Like, I see this person's post all the time, and I'm pretty sure this is a freaking bot. Because you look at their followers and their followings. Like, what the hell? Exact same numbers? I mean, I'm sure there are probably some variances if you got down to the nitty-gritty on it, but 47.3K following, 47.3K followers? And this person's a leftist propagandist to the fullest. Okay. When they die, a library is lost and volumes of wisdom and knowledge are gone. Not if you pass down knowledge. Okay. Attacking the rich is not envy, it is self-defense. The hoarding of wealth is the cause of poverty. The rich aren't just indifferent to poverty, they create it and maintain it. Jodie Foster, actress. Okay, what is Jodie Foster's net worth here? Okay, Jodie Foster, like, how much money you got in the bank, sweetie? And that goes down to, wanting to tax the rich, and that's an enchilada in and of itself. But, let's go ahead and get into that, okay? The California man who won the record $2.04 billion lottery took home $628 million after taxes. Now let's tax billionaires like that. Okay? Imagine having trillions of dollars and still being the world's biggest loser. Again, they want to talk about taxing the rich. And here's the thing. This is what people don't understand. You want to go, oh, we need to tax the rich. We need to tax the rich. We need to have higher taxes on the rich. Why are there never higher taxes on the rich? Because the rich don't have taxable income. Okay, this is what everybody seems to be forgetting. The Democratic Party campaigns on, oh, higher taxes for the rich, higher taxes for the rich. But they'll never tell you that the rich don't pay taxes because they don't have taxable assets. This goes back to the 2016 presidential run when Hillary goes, Trump doesn't pay his taxes. And Trump goes, that's what makes me smart. And that's what won him the popular vote in 2016. And this is why, because he exposed the system. He goes, I don't pay my taxes because that makes me smart. And you're not going to fix the tax system because I'm benefiting from the same tax breaks and loopholes that you and your friends benefit from. And here's what I mean by that. Again, no taxable income. Most of these rich people have non-taxable assets like stocks and bonds, and they borrow against those assets. They take those assets to the bank and say, I want to take out a non-taxable loan for X amount of money. And then they take that money, which is non-taxable because it's a loan, and they reinvest it in getting more assets and generate revenue that goes right back into paying off the loan. So the money never even passes through their hands. It just goes straight from asset to bank and pays off the loan. And then they do it over and over and over again. That's how they accumulate so much wealth and assets, and why they're sitting there living pretty, because they don't actually have any tangible wealth. They don't have money in the bank or money in their wallet. They have assets that they borrow against. And if they do have money, it's run through offshore accounts that aren't subject to federal tax laws. You understand now? So you can't tax the rich because there's no taxable income. There's no money to be taxed. There's no money on U.S. accounts that the federal government can tax. And if they do have a taxable income, it's a CEO who takes a salary of less than $50,000 per year. So he falls into the minimum wage tax bracket. That's why the rich aren't paying taxes. And they're never going to be paying taxes. And you have all these people in Congress and the Senate and all positions of political power who have this insane net worth, and they're not paying taxes either. And that's Republicans and Democrats. And they're never going to fix it because, one, federal United States tax law does not impact international. So you can't tax somebody else's money in a foreign bank account. And they're not going to fix the tax code to tax non-taxable assets and bank loans, because that's how these people make their money. And they be thus fucking themselves in the ass. So this notion of, oh, we need to tax the rich. I've been hearing that ever since I was a little fucking kid. It's the same old song and dance. Divide and conquer narrative. Keep the poor against the rich. Blame the rich for the poor being poor. And nothing ever gets changed. It's just the talking point. It's a bullshit talking point. And it needs to stop being pushed and propagated. Hey, MAGA. If Trump really had proof of the 2020 fraud, why hasn't he opened a single investigation now that he's back in office? Take your time, I'll wait. He has. Hey, December 5th. Let's go ahead and just play that. Okay. Again, ongoing investigation. White House task force set to release findings of a year-long investigation that 100% proves that the 2020 election was stolen by the Democratic Party, working with the DOJ, FBI, and Communist Chinese. It's important to note that last month, Alex Jones was the first to exclusively break this news. The admin is reportedly weeks away from releasing the biggest political bombshell in U.S. history. So again, disinformation is if to say you're impervious to actually doing your research and looking things up and verifying information. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from Alex Jones. Just do your fucking research. And that, I think, is what the Democratic Party, and I hear the Democratic coalition, spewing out bullshit as if their constituents are too stupid to go, oh, hey, let me turn on my computer or turn on my phone and look this up and verify this information. Like, come on, people. This is why the Democratic Party is suffering and losing credibility and is lower than Trump in its approval ratings. Yeah, Trump's approval ratings fucking suck, and for good reason. But the fact that the Democratic Party is doing way fucking worse, and this is why, should be a cause for concern, especially for Democrats. Like, why is the Democratic Party pushing all this false information? Okay, that people could easily verify and find out whether or not it's true or bogus. I mean, that's why you got things like Snopes, right? I mean, it's not hard to verify information, and when you put up something as fact and it's not, you're damaging your credibility and the credibility of whoever it is you're trying to back. Okay? If Clinton was found to be involved with Epstein, his base would reject him. I find it odd how liberals keep howling that Trump is a pedo with zero evidence, yet Bill is in numerous photos, flight logs, even a blue dress, and not a peep. Yeah. What's with the hypocrisy? You hear constantly, Trump is a pedo, Trump is a pedo, Trump is a pedo, with no evidence, just bullshit AI and rhetoric and propagating old news clippings of him with 20-year-old beauty pageant models with their faces blotted out like they were actually victims. It's like, what, they were victims of a beauty pageant? Like, what? And this is what's being propagated. But nobody's saying shit about Bill Clinton. Again, if Clinton was found to be involved with Epstein, his base would reject him. Where's the rejection? Where is the goddamn rejection, guys? Why are you not rejecting Clinton? Why are we still having this conversation? Fuck, when was this post made? Scroll down here. Let me see where this post was made. It's just a few days ago. We've known for years that fucking Clinton was involved with Epstein. Okay? It was speculated that Hillary was the one that had Epstein off when he was fit to testify, and coincides with many people who were subsequently offed by way of suicide when they were fit to testify against who? Hillary Clinton and or Bill Clinton. Okay? I want to see an investigation into that, like a legitimate investigation, because nobody has that many friends that committed suicide. Nobody has that many friends who commit suicide. Especially when they're fit to testify against you. I'd say that's more than probable cause right there. So again, Democrats, where's the uproar? Where is the base rejecting Bill Clinton here? And back to our friend Thursday. What does he have to say about this one? My hero and leader of the free world. Oh, you mean the little dick weasel cocaine addict who has suspended elections in his country and conscripts his citizens to keep fighting a war that he has been losing for years? Who had told Trump on at least 8 separate occasions, okay, Trump, big deal. And then goes back to Ukraine. Hey, Ukraine! Hey, you! I'm not big deal. Hey, you give me more cocaine now? Okay, cool. How about a nuclear weapon? You give me a nuclear weapon now? No nuclear weapon? Okay, how about you let me tornado? No, you won't let me tornado? Okay, how about a little more cocaine? Okay, maybe give me a little more cash so I can because, my private jet needs a new stripper pole. I mean, seriously. Russia can stop the war anytime by leaving Ukrainian land. Okay. Russia's aggression was in response to NATO encroaching on Russian borders. Now, let's look at that from multiple angles here. First of all, if it had been a foreign aggressor encroaching on U.S. borders, even during a Democratic-run administration, the United States would respond with aggression, right? If an aggressor encroached on United States borders, the way NATO has encroached on Russia's borders, the United States would have responded in kind the same way that Russia has. Hey, that's point number one. Point number two, NATO shouldn't even fucking exist. Okay? The Berlin Wall fell in what, 91? Under what, Reagan? Okay, that was the end of the Soviet Union, and NATO was formed to protect Europe and its allies against the Soviet Union. The Berlin Wall fell. The Soviet Union no longer exists. And our plan, from the United States point of view, was to get Russia out of the arms of China. But yet, NATO still exists and is encroaching on Russia's borders and continues to push Russia further and further into the arms of communist China. Okay, seems kind of a counterproductive thing here. And again, Vladimir Putin's willing to take the deal that Trump put on the table. Zelensky won't even sign it. Okay? So Thursday, is that why Zelensky's your hero? Because he won't take Trump's peace deal? Okay? Again, Thursday. Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault. They were insurrectionists, not patriots. They were there to uphold the Constitution. They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution. Oh, is that why 200 plus FBI agents were sent out by Pelosi to stir up controversy, play out this insurrection, allow people into the Capitol building only to arrest them on camera and then release them off camera? You had a fake bomber who was actually working with the feds, and a whole big fiasco with that. Among many other issues. Like, seriously? Can you please explain that to me? And where the hell is my plug? I got to plug in my computer or else it's going to die. There we go. Should have done that beforehand, but oh well. It happens. Always something. Okay. So what about that, guys? And what the hell would poor Joe Biden know about any of this? Joe Biden was pretty much locked in a fucking bedroom for the majority of his presidency, and it was only ever brought out for public appearances and press conferences. Okay? The majority of the time, he was tucked away in a bedroom somewhere while the auto pen scandal was taking place for 4 years. Okay? Nobody took care of that man. Nobody even took him to the doctor to keep up on his health, and now he's got what, stage 4 cancer? Okay? But yet the media propped him up and held him up as this coherent hero, when the poor old man was literally a victim of elderly abuse by the people within his own administration and his own political party. Okay? And even now, his base, instead of calling this out, and this is where I have a big fucking grievance with the Democratic Party. They hold this man up like some fucking hero rather than calling out the party, their party, and that administration for elderly abuse against this man. If you love Joe Biden so fucking much, why are you not rushing to his defense on the grounds of this evident elderly abuse that took place for over 4 years? Okay? And this is something that Republicans and Democrats should be able to come together on. This is a blatant case of elderly abuse. This was 4 years of Weekend at Bernie's. Okay, this was elderly abuse, regardless of whether you agree with Biden's policies when he was a coherent politician. There is no denying that that career politician was gone at the point of the 2020 presidential term. Okay, that Joe Biden was gone, and you had a feeble old man who was more or less checked out 99% of the time and is a victim of elderly abuse. But yet the Democratic base says nothing. The Democratic Party, their constituents say nothing, but yet hold this old man up as some fucking hero instead of calling out the abuse of this person by his own party. Okay, how many times can you probably figure that poor old man was just left alone for hours, maybe probably sitting in his own fucking shit, and nobody came to check on him for hours and just left him there? I mean, come on. Can we only imagine the level of neglect that this man probably faced? And I'm not making any insinuations one way or the other, but it's a high probability. If they did the auto pen thing and held this person up like it was fucking Weekend at Bernie's at public events for 4 years, what other debauchery are these people capable of in terms of the abuse and neglect of this old man? I mean, for Christ's sake, you didn't take him to the fucking doctor for 4 years, and now he's got stage 4 cancer, which probably could have been prevented if it had been caught in its early stages. But no, you didn't take him to the fucking doctor. So, how much worse does it get? As if it could probably even get any worse than, not taking him to the doctor and then come to find out he's got stage 4 cancer. Okay, fuck Trump and the Russians he wrote in on. Okay, we already know that it was Hillary involved in the Russian collusion. Okay, we know that for a fact. It's been documented and proven. Again, misinformation, easily found. Why are you propagating what you know to be bullshit and something that can easily be debunked? Okay, do you want me back as president? Sorry, wasn't this the party that was screaming no kings? So why are we propagating this? Why are we propagating this notion? Even though they say that Obama was behind the auto pen. And essentially a third term for Obama. Okay, yet the Democratic Party is the party of the no kings movement. Okay, is it only no kings unless it's Obama or a Democratic leader? Like, seriously, you're not against you're not no kings. You're no kings unless it's one of your people. Okay, Trump Epstein cover-up, 1,000 FBI agents redacted Donald Trump's name and the thousands of pages in the Epstein files. Okay, well, the FBI is not in control of the file now, are they? That would be the DOJ and Spam Bundy again. Misinformation here. And They say, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that if Trump isn't a pedophile, that he would have released the unredacted files. Not necessarily. Who might he be covering up for? Okay, could it be that he's indebted to somebody, like maybe the Rothschilds, who are big globalists and who he has in the past had bailed him out of his bankruptcies? Yeah, he's kind of indebted to the Rothschilds, so maybe he owed them a favor and said, "Hey, don't let this," and they said, "Hey, don't let this shit out, asshole." Or you can go with what Alex Jones has suggested and has been affirmed by the Trump administration, that Trump made a deal with the Democrats and the people in these files for them to back off and let him, drain the swamp, for a lack of a better term. It's a lot more intricate than that. And then they double crossed. Said, okay, I won't release this, but you got to roll over. And they said they would, and they didn't. In fact, they doubled down. And that's according to Alex Jones and the Trump administration. So it's not a definitive, oh, Trump's covering up, so he's a pedophile. No, he's implicated himself in the cover-up and made himself an accessory after the fact. Absolutely. And I've called this out many times. But that does not necessarily mean he's a pedophile, and there could be other reasons, such as the reasons I had cited. Now, I'm not against the idea of him possibly being a pedophile and having gone to Epstein's Island or Zorro Ranch or wherever. But show me the proof. Don't just talk out of your ass and make insinuations and say that something is definitive when it's not. Okay. 9 out of 10 of the poorest states in America are Republican states, and 95 of the 100 poorest counties are also red states. But tell me again how Republican economics are so great for America. What? Okay, I'm a prime example of the opposite of the statistic that you are quoting. Okay, I left California, which presently has the highest unemployment and homeless population in the nation. Okay, their job market is virtually non-existent. I had to leave California in 2016, 2017 and travel 2,500 miles to Tennessee to get a job. And within a few weeks, had a job, and now I have a career and own my own house. Whereas in California, I struggled from 2010 to 2014 just to find a job. And when I did find a job, it was door-to-door solar sales, which was cutthroat and fucking bullshit on so many levels. Like, anybody in California, don't get involved in the door-to-door solar sales or any sort of door-to-door canvassing. It's a fucking scam. It's a bad deal. And you can actually get yourself in a lot of legal trouble if your company does not go to the town in which they are operating to get canvassing permits. And you will be stuck with the bill. Okay? But, yeah, these Democrats don't want to talk about issues like that. And, look at California. Again, the highest unemployment, the highest cost of living, the highest homeless population of anybody in the nation. In fact, they're the most, they are second to Hawaii in the most expensive state to live in the United States. And Hawaii's more or less just a tourist attraction. Okay, that's just an oversized vacation spot for the most part. So naturally, they're going to have a high cost of living. But California, especially on the inland areas, because you only have a few miles of coastal region. Everything else is valleys, mountains, and desert. Okay, it's not, and most of it's ghetto now. So explain to me why the majority of California that is not coastfront property and is ghetto has the highest cost of living, second only to Hawaii. That is a commercial real estate, commercial resort state. Explain that to me. Explain why the Democratic states and areas such as California, Chicago, Detroit, and New York all have high cost of living, high poverty rates, high crime rates, and failing infrastructure. Look at Detroit. It used to be Motor City capital of the world. Now it's a freaking ghost town and a ghetto. Okay? You think of Detroit, you don't think of what used to be the Motor City capital of the world. You think of a ghetto. You think of things like gangster rap and where Eminem came from and where all these rappers rap about if they're not rapping about Compton. Okay? These are your Democratic areas. So again, there's your misinformation right there, and I'm a prime example of the farcity that is being presented here. Because I left California to a red state and have been successful. Whereas in California, I struggled like a motherfucker. Okay, here's a fun one. Can't avoid the gun thing. The guns don't kill people. Sure seem to think a book can make you gay. Okay. First of all, a weapon in anybody's hand being misused against another person is inevitably going to be a bad thing. It's not necessarily the item in question, but it's how it's used and who it's used by for whatever particular narrative. Okay, but again, this is something you don't want to address. Okay, we have things like MK Ultra brainwashing. You can convince a straight person that they're gay or a gay person that they're straight. Okay, it's psychological reprogramming. The military is keen on it. That's why they call Marines jarheads, because of the psychological reprogramming and deprogramming. Okay? It's the MK Ultra shit that we got after World War II. Okay? When we brought over all those Nazi and Russian scientists. And they were doing all this fun shit with the CIA, which is where you got the CIA. It was made up of those assholes that we brought over. Hey, look that up. Okay? So, yeah. Plus, we don't want guns in the hands of children either. Okay? You think a 5-year-old is going to be responsible enough to handle a gun? Okay, I had a roommate a few years ago, and one of the conditions I said for her and her kids to live with me was they were to have no guns, including toy guns, in the house unless they took a gun safety course. And of course, she being a liberal, a die-hard liberal, rejected the notion. I didn't say I was going to take them out to the fucking gun range. I said I wanted them to take a gun safety course because even a toy gun can be dangerous. And, you know, the fact that people get shot in the eyes with BB guns and shit like that all the time. You know, in fact, somebody in my family got shot in the eye with a BB gun, and they have a false eye that they wear. Hey, I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to put the poor person on blast. But these things do happen. So, yeah, we don't want kids having accessibility to guns any more than we want them in possession or having access to anything that could be remotely considered pornographic. Okay? Whether it makes them gay or not, you don't want them having access to adult content, whether it be a gun or pornography or anything that could be construed as pornography or promoting any sort of adult ideas that are not appropriate for children, especially very young children. Okay, so that notion that this propagation is complete fucking bullshit. Fucking Thursday, man. If you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes truth. Crossed out truth. Republican Party policy. From what we're seeing here, it seems more like your policy, buddy. In particular, Thursday, and I'm not trying to focus on this one particular profile. I see this quite a bit, and we'll just kind of go through that in a little bit here. But it seems to be more of a leftist policy to spew lies and disinformation at this point. Okay. Again, uneducated voters pose a greater risk to this nation than undocumented immigrants ever will. Quite possibly, yes. Which is why I'm a big advocate for people getting informed. But yet what this person won't talk about, and no, this person is not Thursday. Again, I'm not trying to target any particular page here. Just whatever is prevalent is prevalent. But I would agree. This is why I say people need to get informed. They need to do their research. They need to cross-reference everything they hear and see. Okay? Knowledge is power. Okay? But that's not necessarily a anti-democratic thing or an anti-Republican thing. That's just common sense. But considering the narrative in which they're pushing, that uneducated is more of a threat than immigration. Okay, you would have to assume this is a pro-leftist page. Now, immigrants, having undocumented immigrants, poses its own share of issues. Such as people working under the table. If they're obtaining identification and being given identification and Social Security cards and whatnot, that kind of convolutes the system right there. The attempts of voting fraud and whatnot by use of the influx of migrants and allowing them to vote, much of which has been documented, as we've stated. But yeah, migrants come with their own problems, but even greater still, I would have to agree, being uneducated and uninformed is a huge problem. You need to be informed. And I'm not talking about general school education, okay? The real world is probably the greatest teacher. And if you want to know something, all you have to do is look it up. Okay? And this isn't the old days where you actually had to go to a library or bust out an encyclopedia or take the official narrative of somebody or some television network as gospel. You can go online and have the information you need at the tip of your fingertips within seconds. I remember back in the early 2000s, late 99, early 2000s, you had dial-up, and it took forever for a single web page to load up. And even then, it was so basic and even barbaric. And the accessibility of information was nowhere near what it is today. So we have no excuse to remain ignorant to the truth. Hey, normal people don't vote for rapists. Again, if he is a rapist, show me the evidence. Okay, show me the fucking evidence. Okay, all we have right now is a bunch of civil cases, which rape has no statute of limitations. So why are we going civil cases instead of criminal prosecutions here? That does not make sense. And according to people like Alex Jones, most, if not all, of these alleged victims don't even actually exist. Again, Jones talks about that quite a bit. I'll go ahead and look up his shit for more detail on that. But most of it just seems to be lawfare and civil suits. Okay, I have not seen one single criminal prosecution in regards to a rape allegation here. I could be wrong on this, and if I am, by all means, show me. But from what I have been able to ascertain, I've not been able to find anything. That's not me trying to be political biased. Again, if he is guilty of any said crime, that's a big no-no. And he deserves to be had for it. Okay? But I want to see the proof. I don't want to see subjective court cases. I don't want to see civil suits. I want definitive proof and criminal prosecutions. We want criminal prosecutions. We don't want civil lawsuits. Okay, you don't sue somebody over fucking rape. You get real justice. You get criminal prosecutions. Rapists need to do jail time. Okay? They need to be running in fear going, no, Baba, I'm bilingual. There's a difference. No more grilled cheese. Seriously. All right? That's... If Trump is a rapist, that's what we need to see. Same with anybody else on those Epstein files. Where are my reparations? Reparations for what? Okay? Slavery ended over 200 years ago, or roughly 200 years ago, long before you or your parents or probably even your grandparents existed. Okay? Where are you entitled to reparations? Okay? You have racially diverse colleges. You have Black-only scholarships. The majority of your sports and music is now comprised of Black and Latino in the United States. And slavery itself was not uniquely European or white colonialist. Okay? It was African warlords warring with each other who enslaved the losers, sold them to the certain people of a certain religious ethnicity. Hell, let's just say it. The Africans sold their enemies to the Jews. So, and who were sold to a small majority of Europeans and colonials. And just for the record, it was those white colonials that said slavery is bad and abolished it. You know, the Republicans that you rail against, yeah, they're the reason you have no slavery today. Okay? Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican, or as he was referred to, the radical Republicans, who had the back of his fucking head blown off from behind by Democrat John Wilkes Booth. Okay? Okay, the white man fought for you after your own people sold you into slavery. Okay? You want reparations? Go talk to Africa. Fucking A. And it just keeps going on and on and on. Remember that no Democrat has come out and denounced Bill Clinton. Yep. Jack Smith says his team has proof beyond a reasonable doubt Trump tried to overturn 2020 election. Well, if there was election fraud and the Democrats stole the election via illegal means, then yeah, the election should by law be overturned. That kind of goes without saying, guys. Calling someone privileged because they're white is judging somebody by the color of their skin. I like that. Hey, and I don't understand how the hell this happened. Like, I don't subscribe to any leftist pages, but yet I got leftist pages coming up out of the fucking blue. How the fuck did this happen? The case against Donald J. Trump is open and shut. He committed the single worst crime against democracy in our nation's history. He led a deadly attack on the U.S. government. Again, that was Nancy Pelosi, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump publicly denounced any violent action. Alex Jones and others were on megaphone screaming, "Don't go in, it's a trap." And we recently found out that there were 200 plus FBI agents on the ground acting as insurrectionists. Okay, and again, this is not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic. Okay, now read the Constitution, read the Bill of Rights. Hell, read the Pledge of Allegiance. Hell, I'll say it for you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. Again, I'll say it again. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are not a democracy. We never have been. We are a constitutional republic. Black conservatives, white liberals, yeah, that's pretty spot on. I'm actually seeing 100% of migrants were created in the image of God. Yeah, we're not doing this anymore. This kind of propaganda may have worked on boomer evangelicals, but we're done letting you invoke Jesus as a means to destroy the West. There's nothing biblical about population replacement. Yeah, that pretty much says it all. It's kind of a propagandist thing again. Again, Thursday. Hi, Thursday. How you doing? Let's try taxing the rich before we screw the poor. Again, how are you going to tax the rich when they don't have taxable income? Because all of their assets are non-taxable. They have all of their wealth comes from stocks, trading stocks and bonds and taking out non-taxable loans on their assets through foreign banks that aren't subject to United States tax laws. And if they have an income, it's a moderate stipend of minimum wage, a minimum wage salary that equals less than $50,000 a year, which puts them in the minimum wage tax bracket. So you're not going to tax the rich. You're never going to do it because one, you can't, and two, even if, and the government's not going to change the tax code because one, they can't, and two, they're not going to fuck themselves in the ass, Republican or Democrat. So again, dumb. Fucking dumb. Fucking dumb. Some of these people need coloring books for Christmas. Chris Zero, how you doing, buddy? Illegal immigrants became voters, which caused the cycle to continue. Why do you think you deserve something when it was your grandparents and great-grandparents who live with? I think you probably should have maybe worded that better. Grandparents and grandparents who lived it. Probably is what you meant, Sarah. But yeah, that's just kind of the wowness of the far left. And I don't like generalizing. I say the far left because I don't like generalizing Democrats as a whole. I know a lot of great Democrats who don't buy into this bullshit, who are very intelligent and have common sense and think that a lot, if not most of the bullshit that's happening on the far left is completely insane and ridiculous and does not and should not represent their party at all. And that's kind of the mindset I would hold, in that you don't allow yourself to get caught up in the bullshit of the loud and obnoxious. Frankly speaking, it's just kind of ridiculous. Oh, I missed one of your comments, Zero. We both know the entire game is rigged and that the only way to win is to not play the only game in town, but people still do it and get caught up in the trap. I agree. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to inform people. I want to wake people up, and I want to plug my headphones back in so I can actually hear what I need to do here. Because I'm going to go ahead and call this broadcast. I want to wake people up. I want to get people to think outside the box and get out of this left-right paradigm and get people to see that there is more to what's going on here than just right versus left, Republican versus Democrat. It's just insane stupidity. It's bigger than that. Okay, people like George Carlin, myself, and so many others have been calling it that these are just puppet politicians. And we need to ask ourselves, given all this opposition that is faced by Trump, not only by the left, but also people on the right as well, if Trump really is the bad guy or if he's combating the bad guys. And if he is a bad guy, is he trying to be a king, as the left has suggested, or is he trying to help a globalist agenda? Or is he fighting the globalist agenda and getting labeled as the bad guy? I mean, a lot of Democrats like the movie Wicked, the Wizard of Oz parody. Now, what happened in Wicked? Elphaba saw that the wizard was not only a fraud, but a tyrant. And she rebelled against him. But by way of the propaganda machine, she was labeled the villain. And a lot of people, both on the left and the right, love this. So does it stand to reason? And I'm not saying this is definitive, but is it not worth asking, given all of this controversy towards the Orange Man, if that might be the case for Donald Trump, that he's rebelling against the tyrannical and ergo getting labeled as the villain, just like Elphaba was in Wicked? I mean, just food for thought. Not saying definitively, make up your own mind, do your own research, and draw your own conclusions. I'm just offering food for thought. That's all I can do, is offer up the facts, offer up ideas, and let you do the research and make your own determinations. But I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. It's Christmas. I got things to do. I'm sure you all have things to do. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in to the broadcast. I want to thank Cursero for participating in the comments section. And as always, the conversation is open to all of you. I encourage everybody to engage in the conversation, share your ideas, share your thoughts, share what information you might have, not only while the show is live, but even after the broadcast has ended. And in that regard, if you like these broadcasts, as always, share the live feed, share the retransmission, follow us on our social medias, on Rumble, YouTube, X, all at RealTWWRN. Check out our online store. And yeah, that's it. Because the broadcast, we're not carried by any corporate sponsors. Israel doesn't sponsor us. No political parties sponsor us. We're completely independent. We operate all on our own, doing it all by ourselves. And we are only here today because you help keep it going. So by all means, again, support the broadcast, check out the online store. And if you can't or don't want to check out my online store, fine, that's your prerogative. But support the broadcast by sharing the live feed, following us on our social medias at RealTWBRN. Fuck up YouTube's algorithm by hitting the like and subscribe button and that notification bell. And as always, keep information flowing. Do your homework, educate yourselves, and educate others. So, until next time, this is TinMan with the Worldwide Resistance Network. Be sure to check us out tomorrow with our new show, Your Friday Dessert, starring myself, TinMan, and our newest host, Aaron. And Saturday at 11 a.m. will be your roundtable again. Time slot for all three shows is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. broadcasts. Got a lot of great shit coming your way, with even more to come. Until next time, again, this is TinMan with the Worldwide Resistance Network. This has been TinMan TV, and my headphone just fell out of my ear. And on that note, if you're watching this, you are the resistance.